Sorry I'll be in Aspen the 25th of June for physics, scheduled long ago. In the background you see Cornell in mid-June from my office. My focus here will be on our last lunch together. First, let me explain a family connection. Fred was my mother's first cousin, meaning that his father Jacob and my maternal grandmother Miriam were brother and sister in Wasilkowa, Poland, near Białystok. Maybe this is the annual running of the pigs in beautiful downtown Wasilkowa. I scanned some photos that Fred provided to this 1984 book, Prophets of Regulation, including this photo, to which I'll return later. After his elder sister was born, Fred's parents emigrated to the United States, and he and his older brother Sid were born in Paterson, New Jersey. My mother's family was not permitted into the United States in the 1920s, and when they were in transit from Mexico to Canada in 1932, Fred's father paid a deposit at Ellis Island so they could visit them for a few days. By then moved to the Bronx. My mother recalls Fred as a very musical teenager who played songs for them on a glass harp. When I was in graduate school at Cornell starting in the late 70s, Fred was in D.C. working with the Carter administration. But we did manage to have lunch together just as I was finishing in 1981, and I enjoyed discussing the 1980 election with him. 10 years ago, I returned to Ithaca with my family, and we saw Fred regularly at a variety of events. This photo of Fred and my mother, with Mary, during one of my parents' visits, was taken by my father, who sadly also passed away last year. We regularly saw him around town, had lunches together, and were in frequent email contact. He was still thinking about deregulation and was mystified by any need to legislate network neutrality. I also remember shoveling snow one mid-January day, and up my driveway came a seemingly driverless car. It was Fred, hunched over the wheel in extremely hazardous driving conditions, just to drop off a little gift for my son's birthday. This was years after Fred's 2003 accident. I watched with some concern as he executed a 10-point turn on my snow-covered grass, and off he went. Sunday after Thanksgiving last year, we had our last brunch together with Fred and Mary. My wife took these very low-resolution cell phone photos. This one looks like two people who need reading glasses. At his 90th birthday celebration, Fred's daughter Hannah thought there might be some family resemblance. At that occasion, Fred sang some impromptu Gilbert and Sullivan, and I reminded him how easy it was for me to remember his birthday, the same 17th October as my own. Here we're joined by my daughter. We were trying to arrange a musical event for later in December, and he was going through his calendar to find out what would work. And now we're joined by my son. He joked that he'd been diagnosed long ago with prostate cancer, but they assured him that it wouldn't kill him. And then with a smile, but they presumably weren't expecting me to live to 93 and have it metastasize. He added, "So I've decided it's time to close up my office at Nira." I then showed him this photo out of the blue, which we'd serendipitously received from the grandchildren of the woman in the middle a couple of days earlier. He said instantly, "I've never seen this before, but that's me," in the summer of 1923 during a visit to Poland. I explained that the 2-year-old was his cousin, my Aunt Anne, now 90, and the woman, her aunt from the other side. Fred said he had a photo of himself from the same trip, and when we went back to his room, he pulled out the aforementioned Prophets of Regulation and showed it to me, wearing roughly the same outfit. Walking back to his room, we enjoyed Mary's artwork on the walls, and then he spent much time with our children watching this kinetic sculpture donated in his and Mary's name to Kendall in 2008. It's right next to the IC3-run daycare there, and he commissioned it directly from the artist. The Ithaca locals will recognize the same as did the one at the Science Center. Another of the regular holiday gifts we received was what my son, a cheddar fan, called the Fred and Mary Kahn cheese and syrup. When we received it last December, a week after the brunch, I emailed the cell phone photo and followed up about the musical plans. For the first time, no quick response. My sister visited him just before Christmas, then while traveling for the holidays, we learned the sad news by email and began reading all of the wonderful tributes.
We miss you, Cousin Fred. We'll remember you.
In describing our last brunch, I have tried to convey how affable, informative, vital, and humorous Fred remained. And if you're by Kendall, watch this kinetic sculpture and remember the pride he took in donating something that works for any age.